All right, we are here for another episode of Dave's Garage. So I am Dave. This is my garage. That's one of my pitties. Hey, Max. Hey, meathead. Come here, buddy. Hey, he's got to sniff everything. What's in this box? What did Alex send us this time? What's up, buddy? Yes. Don't lick the lens out. All right, so we've got this is the Dart Piranha screen. There's one spacer. There should be another spacer in here. We'll find that. And get up. Get off that. We got a tail tidy thing. We've got a headlight lowering bracket. Now, some of these I'm not going to use. That is what? That's a tail tidy? No, these are a set of levers. Yeah, we're installing those today. So we got levers. Oh, there's my other spacer. And then I lost the first one I had somewhere. Stuck to something. We got one spacer. All right, well, when I go to hands-free here in a minute, we'll find the other spacer. But there's two spacers. That's a little bit of a bigger screen than the one I've got and probably better quality. I know the brackets are definitely thicker and stronger. So we're going to install that, and here's my other spacer. And let's see, what else have we got? We got a set of blinkers. Nice little blinkers, too. These are not cheap. Motoism. I don't think I'm going to use those. I actually like the stock blinkers. So we're not going to use those. Honestly, I'm not going to use the tail tidy. I'm going to keep what I've got. I'm not going to use, these are really nice billet headlight lowering brackets. So it takes your gauge cluster and your whatchamacallits and moves them down, your headlight. I'm not going to use that either. I actually like where it is. When you move it down, some people like it because it looks a little meaner. I want the windscreen on there to provide a little bit of deflection. I like that cafe racer look. So moving it down kind of takes away from that because that means whatever wind deflection you're getting, you're reducing it by lowering everything a couple inches. And then there's a really nice set of foot pegs. I don't know that I'm going to use these either. If they weren't adjustable on the front, I would probably use them. But I actually kind of really like where they're at. I don't want to move them up and make them more aggressive and give me less leg room. I don't want to move them down. It'd be nice to have more leg room, but I don't want to move them down and then start dragging them on the road or the track. So I think today all I'm going to actually install is going to be the levers. And then we're going to install that new fly screen. And all of this other stuff, we've got a set of really nice LED blinkers that mount up in the front. We got the headlight lowering bracket kit. We've got some kind of tail tidy. I think it's a bracket it mounts up. I mean, that is kind of cool. What does that screw into? What does that screw into? Those two screws right there? Spacing looks off. I don't know how. Well, anyway, or maybe it mounts up under here somewhere. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a giveaway to help get the channel up to 5,000 subs. So I'm going to be giving away all this stuff, and I've already checked this with Alex. I'm not going to sell it because he gave it to me for free. We're going to raffle it off. So I've got the K&N Engineering slip-ons that we put on yesterday. I decided for me, they're just too loud. Now, it's just a personal preference thing. There's nothing wrong with them. They're beautiful. They're nice. They're half the weight of those. They're shorter, smaller. And some people are going to love the sound. I would say for anyone that still has the Cat and didn't do the X-Pipe, that is what you want. That will give you the right amount of loudness to where it sounds good and authoritative without being obnoxious. Other people like obnoxious. Like I said, there's nothing wrong. It's just a personal preference. So I think what we're going to do is I'll announce maybe after the holidays, we're going to do a campaign. Hey, that's my glove. No, you already knocked it off the bike. Let's not chew on that. And we're going to give away the set of K&N Engineering mufflers, the tail tidy, the blinkers, the headlight lowering kit, and the foot pegs, front and back. I think we're going to raffle all that stuff off as a kit. So a nice little upgrade kit, mufflers and some bling. So that's probably $700 worth of stuff, $800 worth of stuff sitting there. So yeah. So we're going to put on the larger screen, and then I'll put my number 37 on it. I'll take the A&J cycles off, and we'll put that on the front. It's not much bigger, but it's just a little bit bigger. Maybe give me a little more wind deflection. And it's tinted rather than painted black. I like the brackets. They're a lot more secure. Now when we do that, you're going to see how we're going to do this to make sure that the headlight is aimed properly. When we turn the key on, we're going to look and we're going to put a piece of cardboard or something up here and see where the headlight, like find a reference point, a brighter spot, and we're going to mark it on the cardboard so that when I loosen these bolts and the headlight's going to want to flop forward, when I put that back on, we want to make sure we tighten it so that it's aimed at the same spot. Doesn't matter that I'm up in a stand, that the rear's up, none of that matters. I know that the headlight is already aimed. I've already taken the time to aim it where I want when I'm going down the road. So I just need, while this is static and not moving, it's up in the stands, find the reference point to make sure that it goes back in the same spot. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do levers. So I'm going to shut down for a second, go get all the tools that I need, kind of get set up, and we'll be back in a moment for this installment of Dave's Garage with Max. What are you doing, buddy? Just sniffing. All right, we'll be back. You ready, buddy? Got your game face on? It's like, this is the only face I got. Yeah, see things that roll? Yeah, now we got to go investigate. It's like, why don't my flashlights work? This is why. Look at that pretty face. It's my buddy. You're the official shop dog of Dave's Garage. So here's what we're going to do. We got the new one, which you may say, oh, it doesn't look that much different. It's sturdier. This is like a $29 Amazon. This is like a $100 one. The brackets are thicker. It's just a little bigger, a little nicer. Won't flex as much, as you can see. There's nothing wrong with this one, but for free, I'm like, yeah, I'll take the new one. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, installing it is relatively easy. So, in this case, 12 millimeter. Now I've already marked off where the light, I found a place on the light where it was bright like a lip. I don't know how else to describe it. So I marked it off there. And, all right, now dude, go away because I don't want you knocking over an expensive camera. So what I'm gonna do is remove that. Now what would be nice is if you could do one side and then the other, and that way the other side, one side would always be tight. Hey, stop that. What are you growling at? See, now you start the other dogs, all for nothing. Jackass. Why you gotta be like that, huh? Cut it out. So, as soon as I move this, the headlight is likely, I wonder if I can tape it some way. I mean, I feel like it's just gonna, I mean, actually in this site, it's pretty much at about a 1 degree up angle. It's gonna be close enough. If I gotta adjust it later, I can. But the second I loosen it, Max, see, you bark, and then they hear you bark, so they gotta bark to sound the alarm. Then you hear them bark, and you go, oh, there must be something really going on, so then you gotta bark more. Everybody just shut the hell up. I have to go in and yell at Poppy and tell her to shut the fuck up. All right, this is pretty self-explanatory. This goes in, spacer, fills in the gap, goes on top of this, bolt. That's it. Do it on both sides, line it up. Before we really tighten it or torque it down, I'll show you how to just adjust the light, make sure everything's kind of where it needs to be. Alright, it's just lightly snugged. Get our spacers on the other side. This is by far the easier of the two mods. Now, here's what I like about this one. This one has these little metal lips that push against. Now, you want to be careful so you don't dig this steel into these aluminum. You don't want to ding it up. But what that does is it keeps this away from pushing in on the dials. So that's a good thing. The Amazon one doesn't have that. You just have to line the spacing up right. And it looks like we didn't really lose any adjustment there. So I'm hoping that when I tighten this, it's not moving. So somehow this has kind of stayed right where it needs to. And I like having that pushing up against that because it helps that index and keep it not only from moving back, but you don't have to worry about one side. As you try to tighten it, it wants to push it in one direction or the other. You just hold it against that so it's just lightly making contact. And that's it. Very easy mod. So this is made by Dart. It's called the Piranha. Looks nice. I mean, it's not much different. In fact, let's grab these spacers. Now, you might need longer bolts. I'll see if I can include longer bolts. But, you know what? If someone will get use out of this, we're going to add this to the box of goodies that we're going to raffle off. So, tail tidy, headlight bracket that lowers it, foot pegs front and back, nice aluminum billet, set of blinkers, and a set of mufflers. Nice stainless steel mufflers. So that's that. It's not a radical difference from what I had. It is a little nicer. It's just a little bit taller and a little bit wider. And it's sturdier. So I think that looks pretty damn good. Turn on our key. Our light's right where we left it. Good. Might be off a millimeter. Not enough to make a difference. So if I have to adjust it, that's easy. Just loosen the bolts and adjust them. So what I'm going to do now is figure out what tools I need to change levers. I believe I need an 8mm nut and a 3mm, I think, on that. And then I need an 8mm nut on that. And hopefully I can get enough slack in here, and this is a design I can get this lever out without having to go down and put more slack in the bottom. Which if I have to, that's fine. We just mark it off with a marker, see if I know where to put it back. But let me go shut down, get my tools, and that I'll need for that, and we'll be right back. And we're back in the studio, Max and Dave. So here's what we're doing. Now we're putting on the levers. So it is a 10mm for the nut, these nuts, there's a nut on the bottom here. And then one over here, and this is a 4mm to loosen the top. So I've got these. What we're going to do before we install them, we're going to take off the existing one, show you how to do that. Then get yourself some kind of grease, bearing grease, whatever. I got a tube of Maxima grease from Mountain Motorcycles for free for something. I don't remember what it was. And some Q-tips so we can get some grease down in the pivot points and things where the bolt's going to go through. Make sure that that's lubed up so you don't get binding or anything like that or any of that kind of stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and install this. And then I'm going to go to the other side. So what do you do to get this off? Giggity. All right. On this side, the bolt is keyed. So all you should have to do is, first of all, loosen the collar. Right here, the adjustment collar. And turn in as much slack as you can give this. So mine is kind of tight. Again, giggity. Let me grease the threads when I put that back in. You just want to get some extra slack in that cable so when you pull that pin out, you got enough room to get everything out where it needs to be. So you want to screw this in, and that gives you more slack. Now, if that's not enough slack, then I'm going to have to go down there and release some. I'm hoping I don't have to do that. Not that it's hard, it's just an extra step. So this one's held on, just put a little pressure on that to keep pushing it up. It's keyed, so the top, this one you got to hold the top with a 4mm hex. This one's keyed, so it's got a flat side, and there's a flat side machined into the top here. All right, so let's get that nut off. Max, what are you getting into? Stay over here, buddy. Pop that pin out. Pretty dry. Make sure to lube that up. And now this should just wiggle out. Now there is a barrel spacer in here, like a bushing, that, let's see, This is for the cable, so that does slide in. You're going to reuse that. We're going to lube that up and put that in. But before we get to that point, so save this. You're going to need this. And you're basically going to rotate this out. And can we get this without putting slack in? No. Going to need to put slack in the bottom. So that's okay. We'll just have to readjust our stuff when we're done. So here's what we're going to do. Down here on the bottom, I'll move the camera here. Right here, that's a 12. They're both 12s. So we're going to loosen this. And it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 threads showing. So remember that, count, because I'm putting this in here so that we can pull more slack on the top end here. And so we want to put it back. All right, so we did that. And now hopefully I should have just enough up top. Now, you know what we might have to do? We might, oh, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's push this back in so all that extra slack is down here. And let's just pull this out. All right, so now we got the space we need up here. Rotate this, pull it out. There's a barrel shaped thing that's crimped onto the end, and it goes into that channel right there. So, we got our new lever. I'm gonna take a Q-tip, get some grease, and we're gonna lube up the inside of that, as well as this outside lip here, okay? Don't get it all over here. Just on that surface that's going to be coming into contact. You just need a thin film of grease. Put your barrel shaped bushing in. Wipe off any excess, and then I am going to run this through there just to get a little bit of lube in there. Max, come on dude, you can't eat that. Now, take your slack, turn it upside down, goes in like that, and then bring it around. And now, what we want to do is pull the slack in from the other end until that goes into place. Take your bolt. You can see where the metal was rubbing here, and it's rubbed away some of the finish. So I'm just going to lube that just a little bit. I mean, there's some inside the bushing anyway, but, you know, just make for smoother action. Things are just better when they're lubed up. I'm not a dry guy. Or am I? All right, let's get that in. Line this up. Now, I'm just gonna have to kind of wiggle it around until everything all lines up. That goes in, spin it until that kind of drops in to that flat side. And now we'll just finger tighten this. We'll come back and torque it a little bit later, because what I got to do now is go reconnect the other end. So here, we took all this extra slack. Now I've got to turn this, get that in. Probably be easier with a pair of needle nose pliers, but well. All right, so move that up. Come on. All right, now we're in. So now we're going to turn this back to my, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're there. Tighten that back up. Don't over tight, torque it. I'm putting like maybe, I don't know, 12 foot-pounds. That's in there good. Let's go back up to the top. We got some extra slack here. We'll turn this back out. Yeah, I'm gonna take some more out. But before I forget, let's retorque the bottom. So your 10mm nut, again, push the top down in. Once you've swiveled it, you'll feel it drop in so that it's flush, and then just hold it there. Again, it's got a flat side on the bolt and a flat side on the housing, so once it drops in, it can't turn. And then you just tighten that. Make sure you don't over tighten. It is a lock nut, so it's not going to work itself loose. Make sure there's threads sticking out the bottom. Now, put that aside. We'll need that on the other side. But now, you want to have about 3 to 5 millimeters of play. You don't want to, you want to have that little bit. That's all you need, just a little bit, and then you can adjust your clutch with the roller clicks here to get it as far away as you want. So I'm going to take a little tiny bit more out. Yep, there we go. What you want to make sure is that there's at least a little bit of slack. I don't know why. I think maybe the motor might shift tiny bits under load. But I've seen where you take most of the slack out up here and you don't leave enough. The Z900 RS was like that. And so then when you pull it in, or when you let the clutch out, it actually tightens up. When you're in neutral and it's just sitting there idling, it's actually fine. When you're going down the road, it would actually, the motor would shift, which would have the effect of pulling on the cable a little bit, and you get a little bit of clutch slippage. Max, don't knock the camera over, dude. So we'll start there. That's about that's a good 4 millimeters of slack. Tighten that up. Make sure nothing's hitting over here. Sometimes you might have to adjust the thing itself, the housing, because different levers might hit the housing right here. But notice there's nothing hitting. Everything's good. Nice and smooth action. That's what you want. So now we go to, what you doing? Look at that face. Hey, buddy. Pitties always look sad. Dude, you got the life here. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to use this and then 10 millimeter on the other. Now, the brake is going to be a little bit more, not tricky, but it's more sensitive. You've got that barrel in there. That's going to come out. We're going to lube up the channel that's going to go into right there. And so with the brake, you always want to make sure that it goes a couple of millimeters before it actually starts to engage. And what you can do is you can go roll it down the driveway or get the front end up in the stand and make sure that it has that slack, okay? Now the spring's pushing back against you, but you're not engaging the cylinder till you get about there. You need to make sure you leave that gap. I learned this lesson the hard way thinking, oh, there's too much play, let me take it out. Did it on a 2008 Ducati S4 RS Tricolore. Put on levers, nice CRGs, and then, which ironically these are copies of, from TEC Bike Parts. Hey, dude, don't eat the grease. God, pitties. And then I took out the slack. So what happened was it was riding just enough to where it was closing off that valve. Because once you get pressure, once you get past a certain point, that pressure can't come back out, otherwise you'd have no brakes. So it basically locks it so all the pressure can only go down, right? So it was slightly engaged. What happened, you're going down the road, it was causing the pads to kind of drag a little bit on the rotors, which caused them to heat up, which transferred the heat into the fluid, which then started to expand, which then would clamp on more braking pressure because it couldn't come back up here because there wasn't that gap. And it just built pressure. So I'm going down the road. I just got outside my subdivision, and all of a sudden I feel the bike slowing. And luckily, I just pulled over to the side of the road because just as I got to the side of the road, the front tire locked up as I came to a stop. No ABS on that bike. Another reason to have ABS. But yeah, then I realized, oh, I didn't leave enough slack in there. So I went and put back the slack, and I've never had the problem since, and I learned a valuable lesson to know what the hell you're doing. So let's see if I can sit this up here, see if it doesn't fall over. If it does, it'll give my image stabilization a good workout. So let's see if we can do this. All right, so set that here. And go back to loosen. And let's pop this out. So this, loosen it, nut comes off, and then you actually, this also screws in. So this physically, I mean, technically you don't need the nut. You need the nut to make sure the bolt never works its way out. But the bolt on this side actually screws into the master cylinder housing. All right, so let's get this out. And it's got a little oil on there, so that's good. Wasn't bone dry like the other one. All right, set that aside, we're gonna lube that up. What we need to do here is screw this, your tensioner in all the way, because this piece here, this is the part of the plunger, this needs to come out. So we need to put pressure on that and get it to the point where it slides out. Now, if this doesn't come out, we may have to knock out that bushing to actually disassemble this. So I'm going to see if I can get that to pop out far enough, which I don't think I am. So we're going to go over here to the vise, open it up a little bit, and just get a punch, and we're going to try to just tap that out. So I'm going to find a socket or something. Let's see. I don't think I have to use that bushing. No. Like I did on the other side. But this does have to come out, so maybe I can just pry it just enough. It seems like it doesn't want to come out, but maybe if I put a little more pressure on it, we can get that to pop out. Almost. It's like half a millimeter. Come on. All right, so this one's going to take a little bit of disassembly. I'll shut the camera off, or I guess I'll cut this part out because I'm going to be off camera. I'm going to have to basically drive that inner piece there out so that this comes apart. But I can't physically get this out enough. And I'm trying to pry it with a screwdriver. I just don't want to break anything in case I ever have to go back to stock, although I guess I probably wouldn't go back to stock anything. Can I get it? No. Now, let's see if we can disassemble that. So bear with me. Uno momento, por favor. And let's see. Little hammer. Hammer. And let's see. I can use. Oh, that's perfect. Let's see if we can knock it. Yep. Popping right out. Okay. Save all these in case you ever have to go back to stock. So what I did was just drove that out with a socket that was just small enough to fit in there. So I'm going to drive that the rest of the way out, which will let this swing out, and then I can get this piece out. With that piece out, peace out. Now I can pull that out. Now there is a spring up in there, and right there. So once I've taken this out, we'll set this aside for a moment. We want to go ahead and see if we can sort of put that back together. Well, you know what? For now, I'm just going to put this aside in a box. I'll reassemble this later. I got the piece out that I needed, and frankly, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on the video. because I probably won't have to go back to stock anyway. So we got out our little barrel piece. So what I'm going to do is lube this up so that that can go into there. That's where that sits. So let's go get some grease in there. Make sure it's all clean, there's no dirt. Then we're going to do the same on the inside here where the bullet's going to go through. Just make sure that that's lubed up nice. I prefer grease over oil. Oil will just work its way out over time and dry out. The grease will stay a little bit longer. Do those outer surfaces like we did on the other one. Just make sure that there's no extra friction. You want the action to be nice and smooth. And then when we're done, we'll wipe off any excess. All right. So this will go into that slot. And there's a set pin right there so that you can adjust this throw. I'm hoping that I don't need to make an adjustment. Because I don't have to take it apart, this just slides in. I'm going to push that down. Reason for that is, yeah, it would make it easier to adjust it if it was facing up, but I don't want that thing to ever work its way out and fall out. So if it works its way out and loosens, it can't go anywhere because the bottom is sealed. So that's why I'm doing it that way. All right, we are ready to reassemble, and hopefully everything lines up properly. Try and do this one-handed. This is going to go in, so there's a post that has to go into a hole in that rubber plunger seal. That's kind of the trickiest part. I'm going to need both hands for that, because you got to get it in without it getting crooked and smushing it. So, see at this angle, can capture that. Yeah, this is the part that's actually the hardest part. Maybe let's try it without it in there first. All right. Can I get that in here? Then slide it in? Yeah, that's how you do it. That was the best way to do that. All right. Take our screw, just put a little grease just on the shaft. God, there's so many giggities in this. Put it in. And then find where you left your hex wrench, 4 mil, which I put down somewhere. Let's see, we didn't put it over there. Always be organized with your tools. Oh yeah, came over here with it. All right. So let's just get this snug down. I see you. Goofball. All right, so I still got that 2-3 millimeters before it binds up, so that should be good. If you want to adjust it, like I said, you could pull this out. On the other side, there's a set screw, and then that thing can screw in or out. I honestly don't think it needs it, but I'll tell you, when you're changing brake levers, because of the lesson I learned, don't just assume that the new lever is going to, I mean, it bolts right up. Go ride it somewhere safe. Go down the driveway, ride the brakes a little bit. Don't just go, oh, it's good, and go out on a big ride. Spin the front tire, go down the road in a safe manner, leave your ABS on, and make sure that when you're pushing it in this range, you don't feel any bite. You shouldn't feel any bite until you get like there. You should have that 3 to 5 millimeters, at least 3 to 5 millimeters of travel before it actually, you feel the brakes kick in. So I think I have actually about 1 millimeter more than what it was stock, but that's a good bit of travel before it hits the brakes. So do that. Make sure you have that. If you don't, be careful until you've ridden it and ascertained that that is actually the right amount of slack. All right, so let's tighten up that bolt, go over everything, make sure that that's tight. And again, you don't have to torque the shit out of it. Just thread that in, seat it down firmly, and then go to the other side. Put the nut on, and it's a lock washer again. You don't want to crimp this so hard that you bend these tabs into where it starts gripping and binding the lever. You want to make sure that, especially with, over time, if the grease wears out or something like that, or you get some dirt or grit in it, what you don't want to have happen is have there be any kind of binding where you pull in and it doesn't want to snap back. So that you want to be very careful. Don't over tighten that. All right, let's put our tools away. Get a rag. Spray a little brake cleaner. And just wipe off any excess grease. Hey, buddy. No, you probably don't want to jump up and smell this. You're not going to like it. You have a sensitive palate. All right. Make sure all the grease is gone. We've got our adjustments. I like the lever out. And the stock ones were adjustable too. It's just, hey, these are nice billet ones. Yeah, that's probably, I like 3 or 4 on these TEC ones. They're Chinese made. I'm sure that's where George is getting them from. I've used these for years, not from TEC, but some of the Asian brands. I've used them for years. I know some people are like, oh, they'll snap, they'll this. Dude, go watch my knife videos. I've had such good luck with a lot of things made in China. Knives, Apple products. I mean, there's a lot of quality things being made in China. I've never had a problem with these. The only problems I had was with the legit $100 each CRGs, and that was because I didn't adjust it properly. This one, I'm not concerned about. I'm gonna go ride it and see what it feels like, but I've got plenty of grip, plenty of movement before the brake actually engages. Over here, clutch, got my slack, good. I mean, how much pressure are you ever gonna put on a brake lever? I put as much pressure as I can. I'm pulling it into where it's touching the bar. It's only like 50 pounds of pressure. How much pressure can you put with one hand? I don't see this snapping. I mean, I can't see how the cast aluminum cheap ones built to a price point, probably made in Thailand, that the bike comes with are less strong than the billet ones, but whatever. If you don't like them, you ain't gotta buy them. So there we go. Yeah, 3 or 4. I'll have to play around and see. That feels good. So there we are. Back to the stock mufflers. That's okay. I don't mind the stock things. If the front weren't adjustable, I think I might use those, but they seem to work well enough. Does that pass your inspection? Good. We've got the stock mufflers are loud enough for me with the decat, and yeah, the new fly screen looks a little sturdier, looks a little nicer. Should deflect a little more air. Will it be enough to feel and make a big difference? I don't know, but it's here. I'm using it. So we'll put our tools all back. Clean up. I gotta re-clean up the garage again. But we got our numbers on there. I did that off camera. When you put numbers on, obviously clean it with alcohol twice. Clean your hands with alcohol. Make sure it's clean, dry. When you put the alcohol on, it's going to evaporate and leave water droplets. Take another clean cloth, wipe those off. When you put these on, if you put stickers on or anything like that, don't immediately polish it. Give it a day or two for the adhesive to kind of cure and really bond with that surface before you go polishing it. Because what will end up happening is the polish will get under the edge. If you're using a microfiber, those little loops in the microfiber love to grab these sharp corners and peel it up. And once you get polish on that, it's never going to lay back down and stick. So try and remember that. But these look good, man. Alex, again, can't thank you enough. Oh, let's make sure our brake switch works. Yeah, see, I'm having to pull in. Let's do it from this angle so you can see. Yeah, I'm having to pull in several millimeters before that. What is it, buddy? So that's good. Headlights are right where I want them. And I think we're good. Cover the grease before Dum Dum here sticks his ear or nose in it, as if on cue. There he goes. So let's do that. Put that away. Up here with the other stuffs. Let's leave those by that. Put this lever in here with the other one. I'll reassemble that one later. Although, you know what? I probably shouldn't. I probably should just zip tie all the pieces together. Because if you were to go back to stock for some reason, you'd have to take it apart again to put that little thing in there. So might as well just leave it the way it is. But man, Alex, dude, you are a real mensch. Thank you for all this stuff. We're going to do a giveaway with the mufflers and all those extra parts. And I don't know, see what else I find in my parts bins that someone might want use of. But I think it'd be pretty cool for somebody to get a nice set of mufflers. That'd be probably the big prize most people would want, would be a set of nice mufflers. Bolt them up and something's wrong. Did Jimmy fall down the well? Good guard. All right, knock it off. Cut it out, chucklehead. All right, everybody, that was today's installment of Dave's Garage, courtesy of Alex Brigaldi. Thanks for the parts. Dude, it's okay. It's just Mom. All right, guys, later.